Hello everybody, this is Apba Brian and Apba Baseball Classics, and normally I'd be setting up and ready to play the championship game of the franchise tournament, original franchise tournament that we've been doing, a project that's almost complete. We just have to play the World Series game between the Dodgers and the Yankees to finish this project. But something has come up that today, rather than roll the dice, I think I just want to talk with you. As you know, I've been away from the channel for a while. I did put up a game this week. That was the National League Championship game. That was the Chicago Cubs. They played the Dodgers in the championship game. And for them, the Cubs, it was a walk through the valley of the shadow of death. They lost that game 7-1. And so the Dodgers are going to be playing the Yankees in the championship game. But the reason I want to not play the game today and I want to talk with you is that I have been dealing with COVID for a few weeks. My wife and I both have been dealing with COVID. And I'm just now kind of not having any symptoms. I'm not as fatigued like I was for the last 3 weeks. My wife is still a little bit fatigued. This is the second time we've had COVID. And we had it last February. When we had it last February, we were both close to our vaccines. And so the vaccines dealt with it quite well. I was sick I had symptoms for about 2 or 3 days. The third day, I woke up in the middle of the night just covered with sweat, and my clothes were sopping wet. And that was the vaccine and the immunity kicking out the disease. And then the next day, I was fine. So basically, that was a 3-day affair. Now I'm further away from the vaccine. We did not get our booster. We did get booster shots, but you're supposed to get a second booster if you're over, if you're elderly like me. I'm 69. But I didn't get that. And so the second time I got COVID, it was kind of a bigger deal. I didn't have the immunity I should have. And we've been sick for a few weeks. Anyway, this is not a political channel. We're not talking about vaccines, although I think everyone should get a vaccine to protect themselves. What upsets me now is that the Royals are going to Toronto with 16 vaccinated players, and 10 unvaccinated players are not going. And that's by far the most of any team. I think there have been 12 players who have not been able to go to Canada because of Canada's requirement for you to be vaccinated across the border. So it's not been that big of an advantage for the Blue Jays. Phillies may have had a player or two. I know the Red Sox, they played in Toronto, they have 3 players who weren't vaccinated. I'm not sure if Chris Sale was one of those. There might be 4 players. But the Royals by far have had the most. They have 10 unvaccinated players, both catchers, and most of the good players. Whit Merrifield's not having a great year, but he's one of them that can't go. Hunter Dozier can't go. 7 of the 9 or 8 position players will not be going. Michael Taylor is not going. The 16 that are left, there are also 3 pitchers. So 7 position players, 3 pitchers, both catchers. We don't have a catcher on the roster right now. I don't know who's going to catch tonight for the Royals. I imagine they'll have to do call-ups from the minor leagues, and they'll be filling basically a minor league team for this four-game series. The Royals have known this is coming for a year, and the general manager claims that he's had people come and talk and show the benefits of vaccines with the players. But to me, it's just unbelievable to get paid millions of dollars to play a game, and you can't get a vaccine so that you can be sure you can play the game. That's just unbelievable to me. And reading the Twitter feeds on the Royals, most of the city is pretty upset with this organization. They're already a last place team, and we kind of see why they're a last place team. There have been maybe 5% of them defending their choice to not get a vaccine, but 95% of the comments from Kansas City are upset. And that's what I want to talk about. The people on the roster The ones who are vaccinated are not happy with the ones that are unvaccinated. There's at least 4 of them that the paper says are pissed with their teammates. And I see so. I mean, it's like what Merrifield said the other day. He said that if he were playing for a contender, he would consider getting a vaccine. So it's like, that's like a slap in the face of the city of Kansas City. It's unbelievable that he would say something like that. I mean, you can have your political beliefs or whatever. It's not scientific to not get a vaccine. But to insult your community and your team like that, that's kind of unbelievable. So I was already having a hard time being a Royals fan. Most of the history of this organization has been the pits, and this is kind of the bottom of the bottoms. They were good, the Royals, from 2013 through 2015. They could have had a competitive team in 2016 if they kept their bullpen, but they let Holland and Herrera and Davis go. Holland had arm problems. Calvin Herrera was struggling as well, but Davis had another couple good years left, and they could have put it together a bullpen. The position players in 2016 had good years. The starting pitching was okay. They could have competed for one more year if they had cared to try. But that's the history of this organization. They don't try to compete. They went from 1985, 89, they were decent. 90s, early 90s, for a couple of years they were decent, but from the early 90s through about 2012, they were horrible, mostly in last place. And we could be here all day talking about their deficiencies and why they weren't competitive. But they're back to that. They're not competitive, and now they won't be competitive because there's tremendous dissension on the team. The team, apparently, the players don't like each other and are upset with each other with what's happened. The trade value of the 10 players that aren't vaccinated is not good. I mean, like Benintendi's having a good year. He made the All-Star team. He sacrificed his power so he could hit 300. And he's hitting the ball at all fields and competing, but he can't go to a AL East team because they got to play in Toronto. He could go to a National League team, but his trade value has gone down. And with Merrifield, he came up late in his career, so he's kind of on the older side of ball players. He's still got the possibility of being a good player, but again, I'd say his trade value is just plummeted after this fiasco. And our pitchers, we drafted pitchers for a while, like Brady Singer, and we have not had the pitching coaching to get them over the hump. Singer has some ability, but we don't have a good pitching coach, so I think his trade value of the 3 is probably the best, but he would have to go to a team that could help him. Because right now he's not reaching the best of his ability. Brad Keller has shown some signs of being okay. He had a really good 2020 year, short sample size. But last year he had no command over any of his pitches. He had a horrible year. And this year he's had some command, but he's been very inconsistent. And again, so he would need a good pitching coach to get the most out of him. He has the ability to pitch well, but again, we just don't have the coaching to bring it out. So I don't see the Royals being competitive probably in my lifetime. And if they have the nerve to ask the city to build them a new downtown stadium, and yet they can't even field a major league team at this point for the next 4 days. So I would say these players need to be traded or let go. And the management, they've known this is coming for a year, and they've let this happen. They should have dealt with it before the season came, but they didn't. Anyway, I don't think I'm going to be a Royals fan anymore. We got a good minor league team in Kansas City. It's on the other side of the city where I live, but the Kansas City Monarchs, the American Association. For what they do, they are very competitive, and they've been fun to watch. And I think I'll just watch them. You're not going to see me wearing this cap anymore, or this cap anymore, or these shirts. Don't want this shirt anymore. This can go. This can go. And all the jerseys. All the jerseys can go. Let's see, here's this one. That one. And that one. Although I do like Salvi Perez. He's out with a broken thumb right now. I've always loved Salvi Perez. He's probably my all-time favorite player. Even right up there with George Brett. And I like Bobby Witt on the current team, but I don't think Bobby Witt will reach his potential until he gets some good coaching on the major league side. He needs a little better plate discipline. I saw him play. We followed him in the minor leagues. I saw him play when he was with Northwest Arkansas. He was a tremendous defensive player. He still is. He still makes plays, and he gets the balls that other shortstops don't get to. But he's been making some errors lately, which I didn't see in the minor leagues. So, he needs some help coaching-wise, and it's just not there. Bobby Witt Jr. has a great swing, a great attitude. I think he could be a superstar with the right coaching. But no longer am I a Royals fan. It's kind of like I've had it. I love baseball, but how can I root for this team? It just can't be done. And then, so what team will I root for? Well, lately I've been watching the Baltimore Orioles. They've won 10 games in a row. I like most major league teams. In my life, I've had a hard time following the Red Sox and Braves. I don't know why. I've been kind of a Yankees fan. I like the Yankees. I like Aaron Judge a lot. There are individual players I like on the Red Sox. I like Devers. I've always liked J.D. Martinez. When he came up to the major leagues with the Tigers, Lori and I were in Detroit watching a Royals and Detroit series, and we happened to get on a bus. We got on the bus to go to the hotel. J.D. Martinez's dad was sitting next to us, so we got to talk with him, and he was telling us about how excited J.D. was to be called up to the Tigers, and that he knew he was going to be playing because they promised him. They had confidence in him, and he certainly proved out their confidence through his career. There's lots of major league teams I like. I like the former Royals that won, Moustakas, Hosmer. I like them. They're winning players. They don't have winning players on this team. Dozier, he's having a almost average major league season this year. Last year at this time, he hit about 171. His swing was too long. It's still too long. And he's not a good defensive player. Melendez is one of the anti-vaxxers, one of our two catchers. He's a rookie. He can hit, but he's not a good defensive catcher. Miggy Cabrera stole third on him yesterday, and he threw the ball in the left field. He's just not a good defensive player. Doesn't catch the ball well. I think he calls the game okay, but not a good defensive catcher. Witt's too old in his career. I don't see a lot of future there. Michael Taylor's having a decent season. He's a very good defensive player. Taylor is a good hitter. He's hitting much better than he did last year. But he's still offensively is limited. I don't think he could be any better than a slightly above average hitter. He's way above average on defense. But obviously, with this team, it's going nowhere. If they don't care just to get a shot and a vaccine so they could show up to work and perform what they're paid for, this team's going nowhere. Anyway, enough of the rant. My apologies, but I just had to say something. Thanks for watching. Have a good day, and God bless.